Today, I want to talk about a topic that is so absolutely divisive amongst people in the United States. Something that really I just don't see too much middle ground in, at least I don't see it online. There's just two absolute sides to this topic. The topic is tipping. Tipping culture, tipping servers, tipping restaurant workers, tipping. The whole reason we're talking about this is because yesterday a streamer, I don't even know who they are, I don't even remember their name, got kind of put on blast online because they left a $5 tip on a bill that cost over $200. Sorry, looking back at it now, it was actually a $250 bill that they only left a $5 tip, but you know, you got the point. Here's the clip.
Because they only left me like $5 tip. I didn't have like $60.
No, nothing wrong.
Because I know, because then my manager didn't see it.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong. He went to go get the car. Yeah, but nothing we can say about that. Sorry.
Now, with this, there are essentially just two sides to this. On one side, you have people who believe that, you know, tipping is just a joke. It's a scam, basically, because it's a way for restaurant owners to not have to pay those servers as much hourly and to kind of make up the balance by having people just tip, you know, 15, 20, 25%, whatever the case may be. Which there is certainly some legitimate, you know, argument there, absolutely, because at the end of the day, I'm not really sure in terms of like the whole history of tipping culture and tipping with servers and so on and so forth. But from what I understand and from what I've known in the industry being in it for so long, it's the fact that, yeah, most restaurants don't pay super high hourly for servers. And it can be used as a way to sort of mitigate having to pay them so much on an hourly basis by having customers sort of make up the difference. So that one side of it is basically just saying like, hey, like, you know, I mean, like these companies are evil. They're like robbing these people for working so hard and all that kind of stuff. They're not paying them enough. You know, they should be responsible. They're evil. They're bad companies. But then you've got the other side of the argument where you have people saying, okay, yeah, sure, maybe that could be true, but at the same time, what exactly would you like those servers to do about it? If they're not getting paid enough, you're just not going to do anything at that point? Essentially, on that side of the fence, it's more of just like, okay, even if, you know, there is some truth to that maybe they're not paying the servers as much on an hourly basis, that's what it is right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some restaurants that do pay higher hourlies, whatever the case may be. I'm sure there is, but at the end of the day, most don't. So they still rely on those tips to make up that difference. And that's where this huge divide really just kind of sets people off in completely different ways. People are arguing like, oh, if you can't afford to leave 15 or 18% of a tip, then you shouldn't even bother going out. And then there's, you know, it's all over the place. Now, from my perspective, as someone that has worked in the restaurant industry for years, you know, through family, through different businesses, so on and so forth, as someone who has seen and heard both sides of this argument so many times, I do believe that there is at least some kind of middle ground here. And what I would ask everyone to do, at least in a situation like this, is to just ignore the hourly pay for just 1 second. Let's say, just, you know, as an example, right? A server at a restaurant, their whole job is taking care of their guests, making sure that they're happy and that everything that they receive is correct, proper, all of that kind of stuff. That's what a server does. They're not making the food or anything like that. Their whole job is making sure that you're happy and that you're getting everything that you ordered correctly. In some ways, you can kind of correlate that to someone like a delivery driver, like a DoorDash driver, for example. A DoorDash driver's responsibility is just making sure that the food from the restaurant gets to the customer in a reasonable time and everything looks good, all that kind of stuff. But what happens when it's like a really busy day or maybe there's just like terrible weather going on outside and that driver is going through tooth and nail to get your food to you? See, if I knew that, you know, a driver's going through a lot to get me my food, like maybe with bad weather or just a super busy day, a lot of traffic, whatever the case may be, I would feel a little bit more inclined to tip them a little extra for the trouble. Because after all, in that instance, they're doing something that I'm frankly just too lazy to do, and that's just getting in my car and getting the food myself. In some ways, that's kind of like going to a restaurant. Maybe you just don't feel like cooking. Maybe you just want to go somewhere, let the kitchens and cooks take care of the food for you, and you just get it served to you on a plate. I think in that instance, it's more important to see and recognize, okay, how hard is this server working? What are they doing? Are they making sure that everything is okay? Are they working super hard? Are they backed up? Is there a lot going on? There's a lot of things I feel like you have to take into consideration when it comes to leaving a tip. And the final piece to that, at least in my opinion, is the overall price of your bill. And if it's something as high as $100, $200, $250, like in this case here, that would at least imply to some extent that that server is bringing back and forth a lot of different items for you, whether it's drinks, food, etc. And with that much stuff going towards one bill, if I notice that that server is putting in a good effort and is doing a good job overall providing just great quality service, then yeah, I would feel like it's necessary at that point to leave a good tip for them. And that good tip being, at least for me, 20% at the minimum. Now, I'm obviously not saying that you have to leave a tip, a 18 or 20% tip for every bill that you receive. I'm not saying that. I mean, again, there are certain situations where there are just some bad servers out there or bad restaurants that don't provide good service or anything like that. At that point, sure, you shouldn't feel like you have to. I just think for me personally that, in most situations, it's the decent thing to do. And maybe that's just coming from somebody who has worked in the restaurant industry for so long. I've seen the behind the scenes. I've seen behind the curtains of how stressful and annoying and frantic it can all get. Maybe that's why my perspective on tipping and leaving a tip for restaurant workers, at least in the States, I know restaurants work entirely differently in Europe and other parts of the world. I'm just talking about the States right now, okay? I think because I've been around the food industry and food service world for so long, I've seen how annoying and awful it can really be without anyone even noticing it on the other side. So my bottom line is this. Whatever side that you are on the tipping culture, whatever side you are on like how you want to go about tipping, whether it's super high, super low, the only thing that I would ask is just think about it contextually. Did you buy a lot of items? Did your server provide great service? Was everything, reasonable? If the answer was yes to all of those things, then yeah, I think it would be more right for someone to leave a higher tip for that person because they earned it. They deserve that. But let's actually look at it from the other side of, okay, let's say they are getting paid $15, $16 an hour, whatever the minimum wage is, whatever it is, that higher amount. Let's say they are getting paid that. Should you then still leave a tip? And I still think the answer is, again, completely based on context. And again, this is just speaking for me personally, but I genuinely don't care if a server is getting paid $9 an hour or $18 an hour. As long as they provide good service for me because I'm going out because I'm too lazy to cook or I'm taking out some friends, some family, a date. If that server is doing a good job at taking care of us and making sure that we're having a good time, then yeah, I am going to leave them a higher tip because they earned that. They're working hard and they deserve a little bit extra, regardless of what their hourly is. But I don't know. At the end of the day, that's just how I look at it. But please let me know in the comments what you think about tipping culture as a whole. Where do you stand on it? Because I can certainly understand both sides of the argument here. I'm not saying that there's one completely right or completely wrong answer here. I think, again, it's all based on context. And with that being said, until next time, peace.